In today's video, we're going to talk about installing Lucky Stops draw stops on all Hoyt bows equipped with the ZT series cams. We'll talk about adjusting those stops, selecting the correct stops. We'll talk about short pegging, long pegging. We'll also give you some real world examples so you know what to expect when you put draw stops on your bow. Here we have all the sets that we offer for the ZT cams. We have the AZT, BZT3, BZT4, CZT. We also offer the AZT BZT3 Pro Pack, which bundles a couple sets together. The stops will work on such bows as the RX-1, the RX-3, the Ultras, the Helix, the XXL, the Hyperforce, the ProForce. This video was made in the beginning of 2019, so if you're watching this video later than that, Hoyt has probably released other bows that the ZT series of stops will fit on. Okay, we are looking at the top cam of the bow, and let's go ahead and install the stops on this bow. We're going to install the AZT set, and we're going to install it in such a way that it's the same draw length as the factory draw length. To remove the factory stop, it's a 5/64 Allen wrench. Simply unscrew the stop. Check that you're going to use the proper stop out of the kit, that it matches the length of the stop you just took out. Typically on the Hoyt bows, the longer stop is the top stop. If you look on the back, it is engraved with a AHT, signifying that is the top stop. We want to select the short mounting screw out of the package, and we want to mount this stop in the same hole that we took it out of. This bow, the module is set on C, so we want to put our stop back into the C position. Now I said we're going to go to the factory settings. We're not going to change the draw length as we install these. And typically on our stops, and it is true on the ZT series cams, the A with one dot is the same as the factory settings. To line that side up, we want to take a card and just lay in the module of the bow, and we want to lay it across the stop. It does not have to be perfectly in the center of the stop. We're looking for tangency from that card to that stop. That stop can be positioned that way or that way, and it's going to act the same because all of our stops, every radius is centered on the bolt hole. So there will be no off-centered force trying to tighten or loosen that stop as you're shooting it. This card is actually representing the cable that your cam is going to stop on. So there you have it. We've installed the top stop. We'll go to the bottom cam. It's a little bit different because on the ZTs you have stops on both sides, and we'll install those stops. We are now looking at the bottom cam of the bow. What we want to do is remove the stop that does not have the stud on it first. Now you can't tell until you go and loosen the stops up. And I can tell after loosening this one a little bit, this is not the stud side. So we want to remove that first. As you can see on the bottom of the stop, there's no stud on it. That leaves the other stop screwed in from the other side. So we simply turn the bow over, again with the 5/64 Allen wrench, and remove the stop. Now the bottom stops are the short stops in the kit, and there should be a pair of them. But we will double check that they are the same length as the stop that we took out. The stops are also engraved with an L in the stop, signifying the lower stop. Now the stops I'm using here are just raw aluminum. I'm using them, the ones that you buy will have a anodized finish on it. I'm using the raw aluminum ones so that they stand out a little bit more in this example. So again, our module is set at C. We're going to install the stop in C. I have taken the long bolt that's in the kit, and that's going to go thread directly into C. Now it doesn't matter if you start with this side of the bow or the other side of the bow. The end result of the stops being on there will be the same. We want to again take our card. This is our module that we're looking at. We want to put it in the groove of the module, lay it on the stop, and we want to line that up tangent to the face that we're going to use. Again, we're using the one dot side. We need to flip the bow over, and now we have a stud sticking out of the C position on that stop. We need to take the remaining stop, which is the same length again as the stop that we took out, put it over that stud, take the ZT nut, insert the Allen wrench into the hex side of the ZT nut. It's a 9/64 Allen wrench. Thread that down onto that stop. We want to take our card again, lay across the module and the stop, and line the edge up tangent. And we want to get that tight. We don't want to crank it down yet. What we're going to need to do is take our 7/64 Allen wrench on the opposite side, hold the bolt, and then we can finish tightening the stops. And we will go and double check that everything still lines up properly. We are tangent to the edge. We've got the one dot on that side. We've got the one dot on the other side. We're in position C. Our module's in C. You've now installed the stops at the factory position of the bow. Now that we've learned how to install the stops, let's take a moment and adjust them. Let's say we were out shooting and we want to be just a little bit shorter than what we're currently set at. It's pretty simple to adjust it. The bottom one, we want to loosen up the 9/64 side first, so that is the nut side of the stops. Flip it over and loosen up the 7/64 side. We can then adjust the stop to the position we want. And we want to go one notch shorter. So we're going to use the 2-dot side of the stop. We put our card back in. We line that side up tangent to the card. We snug down the bolt side, the 7/64 wrench side. Flip the bow over again. Use our card. Line up the 2-dot side. Take our 9/64 Allen wrench. Put some tension on that nut. Put the 7/64 in the bottom. Finish tightening the nut. Double check that we are tangent to the 2-dot side. Again, both sides of the bottom are on 2 dots. We now adjusted the bottom side. Let's go ahead and adjust the top. The top is easier because if you remember, we only have one stop on the top. So it's a matter of just simply loosening it up, spinning it around, putting that card back in there, lining up the 2-dot side, and tightening the bolt down. So we just made an adjustment to that bolt, shorten the draw length up 1 increment. We have 2 more lengths that we can shorten up on the AZT stop. We've got the 3-dot side and the 4-dot side. If that's still not short enough for you, then we can go to the BZT3s, and that'll offer 3 more positions. I'm going to show you something about the BZT3s, why there's only 3 of them on there, and it all relates to the bottom cam. So the BZTs only have 3 spots on the bottom. The reason for that is that if we are in the last hole on this particular cam, it's the G, that they are functional. We don't need any more than the 3 that are provided on here, because once we get beyond that 3rd one, we're back to where we could run the A in the next hole shorter. We'll go ahead and install the BZTs on this bow just to show you what they look like. The installation is the same as the AZTs. And just like that, you have the BZTs installed. Now that we've learned how to shorten the bow by installing the AZTs, the BZTs in the same position, in the same stop position as the module is at, let's talk a little bit about long pegging the bow. And when we long peg the bow, we're actually going to run the draw stop in a position longer. This module's set at C, the draw stop's set at C, it's a 30-inch draw length setup. We would actually be taking our draw stop and installing it in D, letting the cam roll over further, giving you more draw length and a little more valley. Now remember, I used a card to lay on the module and a stop to line the stop, and that card is representing the cable that our stop actually stops on. So I've laid a piece of tape in here replicating that position, just so that you follow what we're actually accomplishing by doing this long pegging. We'll remove the factory stop. And when we're long pegging, we want to start with the largest stop that we can. On this particular bow, the BZTs are the largest stop for the bow. We want to install the BZT on the D. And the reason we're installing the largest one first is because that's going to give us the least amount of over travel. So we have the BZT laying there. We want to line it up with the card again. And when you compare, this is on 3, so this would be our first stop that's going to let that cam roll over a little further. And when you look, you can see where we originally were stopping with the tape, and now you can see the edge where we're going to stop. So that's the same effect, only the opposite direction of installing a bigger stop in the same position. I'm going to rotate that around a little bit and just show you where we would end with the B stop on this bow. So that would be the furthest we can go on that bow. So you can see how it's letting it roll over even a little bit further. The next thing we would do, if that's not enough, is we would install the A, and we would install the A on the 4-dot side, let it roll over a little further. And again, that's going to go into the D position. And we will line it up with the card, just like we did. And that'll let it roll over that much further. That's the basics of long pegging. I'm not going to show you on the bottom cam. It's the same exact thing, only we have to do the stops on both sides. As we discussed before, when we're long pegging the bow, we want to start with the largest stop that we can. And we know for the standard ZT cam, we would be using the BZTs to start our long pegging. If you are shooting the turbo cam, things get a little bit different. The spacing between these holes is quite a bit different on the turbo cam. The easiest way right now is to just take your stops off, lay a ruler on that cam, take a picture as straight on as you can to the cam, and send it to me. Do that for the top and the bottom cam. Let me know what your draw length is, what letter you're currently running the stop in, and send that to me, and I will do the math on it and tell you which size stop that we need to start with. I will be doing a video in the future on how to actually measure that on the bow, and I also will be publishing the sizes of the stops so that you can look it up and do all that work yourself. But until then, just do this, lay a ruler on it, tape measure. It has to be touching the cam, and send it to me, and I'll get back to you with a recommendation. That's for long pegging. If you're just standard short pegging the turbo cam, then the same rules apply. We're going to start with the A, work our way to our B, possibly a C. All right, real world numbers. What we have is a double XL, 60 pounds. It is the Hyper ZT cam, and it's the number 3 cam. It's set at 30 inches, so our stops and our module are in the C position. When we put the factory stops on in the C position, our holding weight is 10.9 pounds. When we put the AHs on the bow in the shortest position, so it's 1 dot, our holding weight is 10.9 pounds. Our draw length does not change because it's in the factory position. So what did we gain by doing this? We changed the back wall feel of this a little bit. And I would say it's more defined. You're not going to get the limb stop feel out of this bow. If you're looking for that, these aren't the stops for you. You're going to firm it up a little bit. I'll give you some numbers to try and explain it. All we're doing is we're eliminating the rubber in the stop, so that the compressive difference between the rubber and our AH stops is what you're going to actually see in the back side. So when you add an extra pound to your holding weight, so we're at 11, so that'll be 12 pounds. With the factory stops, your string is going to travel an extra 3/32 of an inch. With the AHs, it's only going to travel 1/32 of an inch. When we go to 2 pounds extra holding weight, so now instead of 11 pounds, we're at 13 pounds. Our string is going to travel 5/32 with the factory stops and only 5/64 with our stops. So a different way of explaining that is if our bow is set at 30 inches and we're going to actually overdraw that, we're going to pull that bow until it moves to 30 1/4 inches. So we want 1/4 inch beyond where our stops are. And that is going to only take 3.5 pounds with the factory stops. With the AHs installed, 30 inches again, and we're going to pull that bow to 30 1/4 inches. It's going to take an extra 5.5 pounds, so 2 pounds more to actually travel that 1/4 inch. So that's how it's going to actually feel a little bit stiffer. Now, as far as when we want to shorten the draw length up, now we're going to go to like the 2 dot side. We're going to stay in the position C, and we're going to go to 2 dots. And that's going to change our holding weight a little bit and our draw length. Our holding weight stays about the same, it goes to 11, and our draw length will actually go down 5/64 of an inch. With 3 dots, it's going to go to 12. I'm sorry. It's going to 2 dots was actually 10.9 yet. 3 dots is 11 pounds, and we're going to go to 5/32 shorter. 4 dots, so now we're at the longest side on this. We're going to get up to 12 pounds of holding weight. So we've gained, a pound of holding weight, and our draw length is going to be a little bit less than 1/4 inch shorter. So that's what you can expect out of the AHs. And it's still very shootable. The reason that we're not really gaining a whole lot of holding weight is that there is a fair amount of valley in this bow. It'll drop down. If this is your draw curve, it goes up, goes to 60 pounds, drops down, and we have a fairly linear valley, and then it would continue back. Now the factory stops are somewhere in here, and we've got the AHs where maybe up to there where we're going to start adding some weight when we get into the BZTLs. And we're going to start that one with 1 dot. And there's no gap between these, so that the 4 dot, the distance between the 4 dot and the 1 dot of the B is going to be the same. So it goes up 25 thousandths a side on the stop for each side of the stop. So when we go to the 1 dot, our holding weight goes up to 12.3 pounds, and we are about 5/16 shorter. 2 dots, and this is again in position C. Still the factory position, so we're shortening everything. That goes to 12.6 pounds, and a little bit longer than 3/8. We're taking a little more than 3/8 of an inch off that draw length, and at 3 dots, we are going to 13.2 pounds. So we're already up 2.5 pounds from the factory, just about 2.5, and we're at about 7/16 of an inch shorter. Now that's what you're going to expect by putting the stops in the same position that the original ones came out of. For the standard ZT cams, this is what I would recommend, is to shorten the draw length, because we do have enough valley to play with. If you want to lengthen, let's say you have a 30-inch draw and you want to go 1/4 inch longer with that 30-inch, I would recommend moving your module to the 30.5 inches and shortening it up with either A set at 4 dots or a B set at 1 dot. It'll get you that 1/4 inch shorter. It'll shrink that valley up a little bit. It'll make it more accurate. The shorter the valley, the more accurate the bow is going to be, because the arrow is in the bow less time, so it's going to come out of the bow faster. It's not, the arrow speed isn't going to be faster, the feet per second that the arrow is traveling, but the time it takes from your arrow to break off of your release, or your string to break off of your release, to the time that the arrow is actually breaking off of the string is going to be a shorter period of time. So any movement you have is not going to be exaggerated as much as if it really hung on to that bow a long time. Now we can actually go and add more valley, and I'll give you the numbers for that, and a draw length. So it'll be the B, Z, T, L. Now our module's set at C, so we're going to be long pegging, and we're going to go into D, and we're going to start with 3 dots, and that is going to take our holding weight to 10.6 pounds, and it's going to add 1/16 of an inch of draw length. And that's going to be true as we go down, and we'll go to 2 dots, we'll go to 1 dot, and then we'll start the A, H's, and that'll start at 4 dots, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to end up with, at the very end, 10.2 pounds of holding weight. So we're not really dropping it that much, but we're adding a lot of valley. If that's what you like to shoot, that's what you can do. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, and our draw length is a little bit lazier when we're adding draw length, so it's going to be somewhere between 3/8 of an inch and 7/16. Now this is, again, that was a standard ZT cam, and if you have the turbo cam, most people are actually trying to add a little valley to it. So for adding valley, you want to long peg that, typically. That's what I would recommend doing, just to make it a little more shootable. So it's not quite as jumpy in your hands. And we're going to be long pegging that turbo cam. So what you'll need to do is, if I don't have all the information, the other videos about how to measure your cam up at this point, just take a picture of that as we went over and send it to me, and I will make a recommendation, because we want to start with the largest that we can and work our way down. We don't want to add too much valley to that bow right away, but that's what we'd do for the turbo cam. I would recommend long pegging the turbo. For the standard cam, I would go into the original position and actually shrink that draw length. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of how that cam's going to react with the stops on it. And for the standard ZT cam, it's going to be pretty true across all the draw lengths. Might get a little lazier in some of the draw lengths, but the spacing on the holes is pretty close, is pretty even. So you're going to have about the same reaction on the short side of the cam as the long side of the cam. I thank you for sticking with me and listening to me for about 20 minutes ramble on about draw stops. They're a very overlooked piece of your compound bow, yet a very important part when you're trying to tune that bow to fit you. We offer the adjustability that the manufacturers did. They did the best they can do. They need to put something out that's going to appease to the majority of people and keep their budgets in mind, and we're offering you the more customization to your bow. I feel getting the bow to fit right at full draw is very important, and getting it to feel the way you want it to feel, not just in draw length, but to get the whole package, to get it all to feel right. And that's what we're offering here. If you're interested in getting some of the stops, you can get them on the website at lucky-stops.com, or go into your local dealer, see if they have them. If they don't, have them get a hold of me. If you're sending pictures in for the turbo cam, you have to do that directly to my email. That's on the website. The other thing I'm going to ask you, a little favor of you, if you have the stops already and are using them, let people know what your recipe is. You know, tell them your draw length and what you're experiencing with the stops, and that's going to help people that are looking at the stops kind of make a decision and get an idea of what they can expect. I can't quite go over every single bow and every draw length and all the configurations is just not possible. So that's a favor I'm asking of you, that if you do it, just write your recipe on there, and there's chances are somebody else looking at these is going to be very similar to the way you're shooting. Again, thanks for watching. Till then, keep shooting and